Okay, so one slow kiss in the right place can do more for a woman's desire than 30 minutes of everything you've been doing. And I mean that completely literally. There are 5 specific spots on a woman's body that are wired directly into her bonding hormones, her emotional surrender, and her deepest physical responses. And most men walk right past all 5 every single encounter. They are trying. They are just working with incomplete information. Nobody ever told them these spots exist or what they actually do inside a woman's body. Today I am telling you where they are, what happens inside her when you get there, and exactly how to do it so it lands the way it is supposed to. I am Valerie Hayes, sex therapist based right here in the US. And if you are a man in your 50s or 60s who wants to genuinely know how to show up for a woman, this channel is built for you. Hit subscribe, join the tribe. This is what I do every week, and you do not want to miss what is coming. All right, stay with me. Now, before I tell you where these 5 spots are, I need to give you one piece of information first, because without it, you can find all 5 spots and still get a flat response, and I do not want that for you. There is a specific type of nerve fiber in a woman's skin called C-tactile afferents. They exist almost exclusively in the areas of the body covered by hair. The arms, the neck, the back, the stomach. And here's the thing about those nerve fibers that changes everything. They do not respond to pressure. They do not respond to temperature. They respond specifically to slow, gentle, caring touch. There is actually a speed range from roughly 2 to 10 centimeters per second that activates them most powerfully. Too fast and they barely register. Too slow and the same thing. But right in that unhurried, deliberate range, they send signals directly to the brain's reward and bonding centers, directly to oxytocin release, the hormone most associated with trust, attachment, and emotional connection. You see, what this means in practice is that fast, purposeful, goal-oriented touching bypasses these nerve fibers almost entirely. The man who rushes from one spot to the next, who touches with intention but no patience, is literally not activating the system that produces the deepest responses. He is working hard and getting a fraction of what slow and unhurried would give him for free. So before we go anywhere, slow down. The 5 spots I'm about to show you require patience more than skill, warmth more than technique, presence more than performance. And for men in their 50s and 60s, that is not a disadvantage. That is the whole point. Okay, now let's go. The first spot, and I want you to hear this one properly because most men think they already know it, and they are doing it completely wrong. The back of the neck, the nape, that soft area just below the hairline. Here is what most men do with this spot. They touch it once, maybe twice, and move on, like it is a quick stop on a checklist. And in doing that, they miss something that, when done correctly, produces one of the most powerful emotional responses available anywhere on our body. And I am not exaggerating. Now here is why this spot is different from anywhere else on her body. When you approach the back of her neck, she cannot see you. She cannot watch what you're doing or prepare herself for where the next touch will land. And that inability to see you, that complete reliance on her sense of touch and her trust in you, activates something in her that goes way beyond physical sensation. You see, the back of the neck is one of the most vulnerable places on the human body. Primal vulnerability. the kind of exposed that her nervous system registers at a level below conscious thought. When she allows you access to that place, when she does not pull away, when her head drops slightly forward and her shoulders come down, her body is telling you something significant. She is not defending. She is open, completely open. And the concentration of spinal nerve endings at the cervical spine means the sensation from a slow, warm kiss there travels downward through the whole body, all the way through her, full body. Okay, here's exactly how to do it. You do not lunge for it. You approach it. You brush her hair to the side, slowly, like you have got nowhere to be. Let your fingertips graze the skin as you do it. That graze alone activates the C-tactile fibers before your lips arrive. Then you place your lips against the nape, softly, and you hold them still. You do not immediately move. You let her feel the warmth. You let her feel your breath against her skin. And then very slowly, one kiss slightly to the left, then one slightly to the right, then back to center. And between each kiss, you pull back just the smallest amount and let your breath warm the spot you just kissed. The combination of warm contact and warm breath activates more nerve endings simultaneously than either one alone. And what she feels when this is done with enough patience is a shiver that starts at the back of her neck and moves down her spine. Her shoulders drop. Her body leans back towards you. Whatever she was thinking about disappears. That is the nape. And I want you to spend real time there. 2 minutes minimum, real time. Now, once you have done that, once her nervous system has started to settle into safety and warmth, you are ready for the spot that takes everything you just built and amplifies it through a completely different pathway. And this next one has a trick to it that most men never figure out. Behind the ear, specifically the soft skin right where the earlobe meets the face, and the area running just behind the ear, along the jawline. And the reason this spot does what it does comes down to a nerve, the vagus nerve, which most people have heard of, but almost nobody fully understands in this context. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the body. It runs from the brainstem all the way down through the neck, the heart, the lungs, the digestive system. And it is the primary regulator of the body's rest and digest state, the opposite of stress and anxiety. And the ear, specifically the area around and behind the earlobe, is one of the few accessible places on the body where this nerve can be directly stimulated from the outside. So when you kiss behind her ear, when your lips make slow, warm contact with that thin skin, you are sending a signal through the vagus nerve that moves through her entire nervous system at once. Her heart rate eases, her muscles soften, a wave of warmth spreads through her chest, and her body, at a purely physiological level, registers your presence as safe. And safety, I cannot say this enough, is the foundation of everything. A woman cannot fully open until her nervous system has registered safety. Behind the ear is one of the fastest routes to that registration you have available to you. Okay, now here's the technique. And here's where your voice becomes part of it. You start with a kiss just below the ear, then you work upward slowly along the line where her ear meets her face. When you arrive at the earlobe, you take it gently between your lips and hold it, soft and warm, then you release slowly. And then, while your mouth is still close to her ear, you say something, quietly, almost a whisper. What you say matters less than how it arrives. your voice low and warm and close against her ear while the nerve endings there are already activated creates a layered effect that physical sensation alone does not produce. She is feeling your touch and hearing your voice in the same moment, you both arriving in a spot that is wired into her nervous system's deepest safety response. Try this once. You will understand immediately why it is on this list, and you will never rush past this spot again. Now, here is the thing. You have now opened 2 pathways, the cervical nerves through the back of the neck and the vagus nerve through behind the ear. Her body is settling. Her nervous system is receiving. And there is a 3rd spot that, when you find it next, sends warmth through a completely different pathway, one that travels toward places you have not touched yet at all. The lower back, the sacrum. Now, the sacrum is the triangular bone at the base of the spine, sitting just above the hips, right in the center of the lower back. And most men who put their hand on a woman's lower back are treating it like a steering wheel. No way to guide her, a brief resting point. They have no idea they are resting their hand directly over one of the most neurologically significant areas on the body. Here is what is actually happening there. The sacral nervous system, the network of nerves that runs through and around that triangular bone, has direct neural connections to the pelvic region. When this area receives the right touch, the signals travel through those pathways directly. The relaxation and warmth that gets triggered there does not stay in the lower back. It travels toward the pelvic floor, the genitals, the internal structures that produce deep physical response. You see, a man who knows how to work the sacrum is creating arousal from the back door, Mariana, literally. He is sending warmth and activation toward her most intimate structures through the lower back, without going anywhere near those structures directly. And she feels it as warmth moving inward. A deep, spreading activation that she probably does not even consciously understand the source of. Well, here is how you use it. Place your palm flat against her lower back, not resting lightly, no, flat and present with gentle, firm pressure. Hold it there first, just warmth. Let her feel the heat of your hand. Then very slowly slide your palm downward from the sacrum toward the top of the hips. The pressure is what activates the deeper nerve pathways. Light touch here produces almost nothing. Firm, warm, slow pressure is what sends the signals. You can also use your fingertips in slow circles directly on the sacrum, starting with lighter pressure and gradually increasing as she settles into it. The key in both cases is warmth and patience. And here's a combination that takes this somewhere significantly further. Your palm on her sacrum with firm, warm pressure while you are kissing her neck or speaking close to her ear at the same time. Upper and lower sensory activation happening simultaneously. The vagus nerve pathway at the ear and the sacral pathway at the lower back both engaged at once. The combined effect is not additive, it is multiplicative. Her whole nervous system lights up in a way that neither one alone produces. Alright, now I want to pause here for a second. Because the explicit detail of how to sequence all 5 of these spots together, the specific order, what to do between each one, how to build the cumulative effect, that conversation goes further than YouTube allows me to finish here, so it lives in Valerie Uncensored, my private newsletter. Explicit. Specific. Completely unfiltered. Everything I cannot say here, I say in there. Link is in the description. Okay, back to it. Now, the fourth spot. And this one you can use anywhere, in a restaurant, on a couch, during a movie, in any moment between you. And it is far more intimate than it looks to anyone watching. The inner forearm, that thin, soft skin on the underside of the arm from the wrist toward the inside of the elbow. This area is not touched in ordinary life, barely ever, and the nerve fibers there, those same C-tactile fibers we talked about at the beginning, are what researchers call underactivated, meaning they have been waiting, and when something finally reaches them, the response is disproportionately vivid, significantly more intense than the gentleness of the touch would suggest. You see, a single slow fingertip trace along the inner forearm from wrist toward elbow, done slowly with intention, with warmth, produces a response that catches women completely off guard the first time a man does it with real presence. The breath changes, the arm turns slightly toward you. Something in the face shifts, and there is a psychological layer on top of the physical one that amplifies everything. The inner forearm is not an obviously intimate zone. Touching it gently and deliberately in a public setting, in a restaurant, on a couch, sends a signal that is completely personal without announcing anything to the room. She receives it with full clarity. Nobody else even notices. This is how you build something before you are anywhere near the bedroom. A slow, deliberate trace of the inner forearm in the middle of dinner changes the quality of everything that follows. All right, here's how to do it. Take her hand gently and turn her wrist so the inner arm faces upward. With one fingertip, trace slowly from the wrist toward the inside of the elbow, slower than feels natural. Hold your pace steady. Let there be a pause at the end before you do it again. The anticipation of the next stroke is part of the activation, and then let your lips follow where your fingers were. Slow, warm kisses along the inner arm from the wrist upward. Let your breath arrive between each kiss, the same unhurried pace. Watch what her body does. Watch whether she goes still. That specific stillness, the quieting of everything else, is her nervous system fully receiving what you are giving it. Stay there longer than you think you need to. Now, 4 spots down. And the 5th one is the one that surprises people the most when I explain the science behind it. 'Cause it looks like you're just touching her stomach. And what is actually happening is something much more specific than that. The lower abdomen, the area just below the navel. Most men treat this area as a transition zone. Somewhere you pass through on the way to somewhere more obviously intimate, and in doing that, they skip a spot with a genuinely remarkable amount of neurological significance. Here is what is happening there. During fetal development, the tissue that becomes the abdominal wall and the tissue that becomes the reproductive structures develop from adjacent sources, connected by shared nerve pathways that persist into adulthood. The lower abdomen and the deeper pelvic structures are, at a developmental level, related. The nerve connections between them are real and direct, and the skin around the navel has a concentration of sensory receptors comparable to major sensory zones elsewhere on the body. So when the lower abdomen is touched slowly and with warmth, particularly with circular touch that builds toward the center, women feel sensations that travel inward, warmth that moves deeper than the surface of the skin. an anticipatory activation that the body connects to its deeper structures even though nothing intimate has been touched at all. You see, combine that physical reality with the psychological one. The lower abdomen is a private area, not touched casually, not accessible to just anyone, and the effect is both physical and emotional simultaneously. Allowing a man to touch her there at all already communicates trust. And when the touch is slow and warm and completely present, she feels both the physical sensation and the meaning of the gesture at once. Okay, here is a technique. In a private moment, place your palm flat and warm against her lower abdomen, just below the navel, and hold it still first. No movement, just warmth. Let her feel the heat of your hand against her skin before anything else happens. Then begin slow circular movements with your fingertips. Light pressure, moving outward from the center and then back in. Each circle gradually tightening slightly toward the navel. The patience here is everything. The slower this moves, the more her nervous system builds toward the next touch before it arrives. Each inward circle creates an expectation that amplifies the sensation of the circle that follows, and in an intimate context, let your mouth follow. Slow, warm kisses across the lower abdomen, your breath against her skin between each one. The same unhurried pace as everything else, and watch what happens in her body. There is a specific response, a deepening of breath, a particular kind of stillness that tells you this pathway is open and active. Now, let me pull all 5 of these together, because they work as a system, not as separate techniques. The nape of the neck, cervical nerve pathways, emotional surrender, vulnerability. That is its job. Behind the ear, vagus nerve, full body safety response, and your voice doubles the effect. That is its job. The sacrum, direct neural pathways sending warmth toward the pelvic region without touching it. That is its job. The inner forearm, nerve endings that have been waiting their entire lives for this kind of touch. That is its job. The lower abdomen, developmental nerve connections that link the surface of her body to its deepest structures. That is its job. Each one opens something, and when all 5 have been opened, when you have moved through them with patience and warmth and real presence, her whole system is ready in a way that bypassing them never creates. Okay, and here's the thing about all 5 of them. They reward patience, they reward presence. They reward the man who is willing to slow down and pay attention rather than rush toward the obvious places. You see, for men over 50, that is the actual advantage. The younger guys are rushing past all 5 of these spots. They're working hard and getting a fraction of the response. You have the patience, you have the confidence, you have the experience to slow down and let her body tell you what it needs. So use it. Give her the nape of the neck first, warm, slow, breath between each kiss, then behind the ear. Voice close, lips still there. Then the lower back, palm flat on the sacrum, warm pressure. Then the inner arm, one fingertip, slower than feels natural. Then the lower abdomen, palm still first, then slow circles. That is the sequence, that is the system. And what she experiences when all 5 have been touched that way, she will not be able to explain it to herself. She will just know she wants more of it, and she will know it was you who gave it to her. If you want the explicit, a fully detailed version of how to sequence all 5, how to read her body as you move through them, what to do once all 5 pathways are open, and how to build on everything they create. Join Valerie Uncensored. Link is in the description. That is where I take all of this all the way. I am Valerie Hayes. I will see you in the next one.